Hi, welcome to Securing Things Academy pre-sales beta launch, empowering IT and OT ICS cybersecurity practitioners. This is a brief intro about an upcoming course on IT and OT CySEAT. CySEAT is a short form of Cybersecurity Education and Awareness Training. Organizations of all sizes and operations are highly dependent on cyber-physical systems in a complex, always connected and always changing business environment, requiring all staff contractors to be vigilant and aware of cyber threats and risks posed to that environment. It's no longer optional. CySEAT provides you the ability to learn, build, execute, manage, monitor, improve, review, and rinse and repeat activities across your cybersecurity program journey. Who's the ideal candidate for this course? Anyone within the organization responsible for or involved in building, governing, managing, and executing an IT and OT cybersecurity program activities would be an ideal candidate. The aim is to help improve overall cyber hygiene for any type of industrial environment, specifically manufacturers. So practitioners from your Chief Digital Officer organization or business unit, CISO's organization, CIO organization, CTO's organization, that might be referred as IT or ICT organization, or industrial control system, production plant, engineering, operations, maintenance. Within the organizational structure, if you have an industrial IT team, then those business units would be relevant, even helpful for your leadership, audit, DCP committee team members as well. So as part of this program, the idea is that there are different needs on IT and industrial control system or operational technology elements. This is a representation of a 6-layer of automation stack based on IC 95 Part 2 model from cloud to PLC. And it shows that certain part of this automation stack is under IT's responsibility in a typical organization, whereas certain part of the automation stack is then under OT's or industrial control system organization. And they have a different priority in terms of security. See, the course is going to cover both those sides of the glass in terms of what's the priority on the IT side and what's the priority on the OT side. As highlighted in the screen, the priority on IT side is confidentiality first, integrity, and then availability. Whereas in OT side, it's the reverse. Safety comes in first, and then you have availability, integrity, and then confidentiality as the key consideration in terms of cybersecurity. So eventually, it's tailored to equip practitioners to have a common understanding of cyber risk across this entire automation stack. It will help bridge the knowledge gap between IT and OT or ICS teams to understand the relevance of both sides of the organization and how they need to work together in a digital transformation era. So again, the digital transformation strategy for any organization that want to digitally transform their current operations from an industry 3.0 setup or something in between 3.0 and 4, or those that are already have gone through this transition, they should be aware of the fact that all the integration works, all the connectivity is centered around these 6-layer of automation stack between cloud, your ERP, MES, SCADA, HMI, PLC, and Edge. Don't worry if you are not familiar with these terms. We will cover the basic definition and premise of each of these elements. Similarly, your cybersecurity program and strategy needs to be aligned with your digital transformation strategy, and it needs to cover the entire automation stack as well, because there are different risks associated with each layer of the stack itself. So CySEAT is designed to equip businesses and practitioners be better prepared to address these risks. As most analyst firms you might have seen online, they are predicted that a very high percentage of data breaches that have occurred actually in the past or that would occur in the future would definitely involve a heavy human element. We want to change that, starting from practitioners involved on a day-to-day basis in handling the digital cyber-physical assets. So what you will learn as part of the training, the goal is to build and increase digital literacy for a cybersecurity savvy workforce. It addresses and meets certain requirements from international standards or compliance requirements from different countries, as listed on the screen. If you look at any of these standards requirements, you will find that they are under security awareness and training. They have two types of requirement. One is specific for generic understanding of cybersecurity risks and threats that are out there, and then what the best practices around them. That's all good. But then it has a second element which talks about having role space specific training for your practitioners. So the idea is that we are providing this custom training for the team that's involved or are responsible for managing and running or building a cybersecurity program across IT and OT environment. So for the next few slides, we are going to talk about what are we going to cover in this program. So we'll start with laying the foundation in terms of what is our eventual goals and what our business needs when it comes to cybersecurity program and strategy across IT or industrial environments. Typical myths and mistakes that we have seen organizations make based on my experience working in the industry, as well as what's been published. What are typical threats and drivers behind these programs? A case study that I was personally involved in to draw parallels between an industry report like SANS survey versus an organization that I work for as part of the cybersecurity program on both IT and OT side. We'll also cover IT OT key disruption events in terms of attacks, threats that everybody should be familiar with. And then talk about business needs on building such a strategy, having that program and awareness, why we need to do that. Whether you are building an integrated enterprise cybersecurity strategy for your organization, or whether you want to create separate strategy for both IT and OT environment. Depending on the size of your organization, the team structure, the politics, the culture, we need to make some of these decisions. So we'll build foundations around that. We'll talk about certain foundations around what is Industry 3.0, what is Industry 4.0, the concepts behind the differentiating factors between the two, what is actually the digital transformation, what is IIoT, and how these elements could be understood together. Obviously, as seen in the previous slides, the 6 layers of automation stack, what are those as the foundation? What's the overall manufacturing lifecycle workflow look like? The cyber risk across this manufacturing workflow. We are also going to relate that on how this is equivalent to probably you've heard of a Purdue model or Para model, where you have different layers of manufacturing lifecycle. And then we'll look at certain threats across these reference models or across these layers, as well as certain mitigation examples. So once we have understood and built this foundation, now it's time for us to start building our strategy and framework. So we'll talk about building blocks of an IT OT strategy, what typical activities that you need to cater in order to start building that strategy. How do you then go about choosing a framework or a standard? As an example, we are going to cover a real life scenario of a manufacturing organization where we are going to look at certain decision factors that they've made as an organization on choosing a combined or a dual set of frameworks, both on IT side and OT side. And then obviously, how did they started the journey? So obviously the journey starts with building your business inventory, performing discovery and reviews. So elements across these on both sides of the organization. And eventually, how do you present this strategy? How do you then get the funding? Establishing a joint IT OT governance committee structure based on your org chart without disrupting or making too much changes within the org structure. You will need to find a sweet spot on how to come up with this governance committee. And eventually, how do you execute that strategy? So how do you build a prioritized roadmap, a list of initiatives? And then we are also going to talk about certain best practices and the IT OT security doesn't framework, which is proprietary to security things, to help you run and execute that program. Obviously, it's not fit for all environments, but obviously it will give you enough understanding idea or give you food for thought to build your own strategy for your own organization, for your own circumstances, and the cyber physical assets that you want to protect, or the mission of the organization against which you want to align this program. Ultimately, the aim is foster digital and cybersecurity savvy workforce. So throughout the typical manufacturing lifecycle, on the right side of the diagram, here you can see we have different stages in manufacturing workflow. Or on the left side, if you look at the automation, 6 layers of automation stack, then at each layer of the automation stack, there are a multitude of risk factors that we need to cover because they present a wide range of attack surface for the organization. And that attack surface would be leveraged by both internal or external threat actors or malicious actors. So while we work through several threat scenarios and mitigation best practices, the aim is that you have a digital workflow where your assets and risk maturity is defined and understood or documented or discovered. You have a secure architecture aligned with certain industry best practices. And then you have list of layered controls as a defense in depth lifecycle stages. Because teams having a good understanding of threats would help in mitigating multitude of cyber threat scenarios across your digital manufacturing workflow. We also need to understand what is it not in terms of this program or a course, as IT OT CySEAT is not a phishing simulation or education training or generic user awareness training. So don't be misled by the name in terms of cybersecurity education and training. Getting started in IT, OT, ICS cybersecurity is also not the focus or goal of this training. The prerequisite for this training is that you have some basic level of understanding. If you're coming from an IT side, then the technical aspects of IT, and if you're coming from an OT side, then certain technical aspect of OT side of things. It's also not a vulnerability or penetration testing training. It's not a tabletop simulation exercise or lab-based implementation of certain tools for that matter. However, we will cover all these elements from a program perspective, what you need to cater, why these elements are important elements for your comprehensive program. So from that angle, we will cover these elements. So at the end of the course, the transformation we are promising is for candidates to build a foundational understanding of the principles, both on the IT side and also on the OT side, the controls that are implemented, security controls that are typically implemented across both sides of the coin, and how they differ in terms of their implementation strategy. Understanding emerging trends like IIoT, 4.0, unified namespace, what's the differences between 3.0 and 4.0 for that matter, how digital transformation strategy and cybersecurity strategy are relevant to each other, what are cyber risks across the entire manufacturing workflow or the automation stack or the reference model, whatever frame of reference you want to understand these concepts from. So you'll have different angles for that matter. And then, how do you build the resilience and transformation program and best practice for securing the enterprise stack. So are you ready for the transformation journey? It will definitely help you get ready to secure today's and or tomorrow's industrial environment for a smart and safer society. My name is Mohammed Yusuf Faisal. I'm founder of Securing Things Academy, or Securing Things, bringing more than 2+ decades of professional industry experience while serving clients globally on IT OT cybersecurity advisory and consulting. I work both on the end user organization. I actually started my career in an asset owner environment, manufacturing environment group, where we had to serve as an IT part of IT organization, different industrial manufacturing setups. And then, most of my career has been on the consulting side. I'm on a mission to help individuals excel in their careers and secure their organization or client's digital transformation journey and the future of smart things. So I hope you will join me on this mission to start securing things for a smart and safer society. Make sure you visit the link highlighted on the screen or the Academy page and join the waitlist to secure 40% discount on the launch coming soon. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.